Before the episode begins, this is a statement in solidarity with the people of Bangladesh. As I speak, the country has returned to a state of chilling calm after a week of state violence meted out on protesters. Since the 16th of July, students in Bangladesh have been protesting unfair job quotas. The totalitarian government responded with its usual homicidal excess. Police, alongside state-backed thugs, murdered protesters peacefully demanding their rights in what is ostensibly a democratic state. Instead of breaking the spine of the demonstrators, the state's violence convinced the long-suffering population that enough was enough and ignited fiercer protests. In the midst of a rising death toll, the government responded by cutting off the internet on the 18th of July. Limited internet access was restored on the 24th of July, making it one of the longest blackouts in modern history. The internet shutdown also affected cell reception, leaving the Bangladeshi diaspora, one of the largest in the world, cut off from their friends and family at home. It is important to understand that this was not perpetrated against some imaginary global backwater, but against a real place in which more human beings currently live than in the country of Russia. All in a desperate attempt by their own government to disperse legitimate protest against state-backed killings, to murder and disappear citizens with impunity. The internet has been restored in a limited capacity, and Bangladeshis at home and abroad are attempting to pick up the pieces and understand what happened and what will happen next. Facebook, the most important social media channel in Bangladesh, is blocked. The official death count is 178 people. The government lies and dissembles in front of the world and blames its political rivals, refusing to accede to any student demands, not even acknowledging the deaths of the people. Protest leaders were tortured and disappeared. Thousands are being arrested. The army was deployed on the streets with shoot-on-sight orders. Videos are circulating of police and paramilitary forces using live ammunition against civilians. Bangladesh is the largest contributor of UN peacekeepers. Helicopters and armored personnel carriers in UN livery were deployed against the Bangladeshi citizenry. The protests are officially on pause. They have not ended. We wait to see what happens next. Bangladesh is no stranger to political violence, yet this was the worst excess of state repression in its history as an independent state. The Bangladeshi state is run by a cult of personality that has criminalized any form of criticism against the Prime Minister of the country, Sheikh Hasina, and sees any popular movement as an existential threat. Through violence and election rigging, it turns peaceful protest into uprisings that are then quashed with murder. Instrumental in the Bangladeshi state strategy is the status of Bangladesh as international blind spot. Bangladeshis provide the world's labor, making your clothes, building your high-rises, staffing your corner stores, and driving your taxis. We are not to be seen, nor heard. The international news coverage of the protests has all but died down as soon as the internet was restored and a deadly calm returned to the streets. The Bangladeshi state relies on you, our audience, to have never noticed that Bangladesh briefly disappeared from the internet. International capital is served by such an arrangement of cheap labor from a Western-friendly government that keeps its people in check and usually has the sense to do it quietly. The spectacle of state violence, the extreme step of the blackout, the use of UN-marked vehicles, all these things are embarrassments not just to the government, but its international backers. The developed world's relationship to its Bangladeshi labor force is revealed in this moment to be built on silencing, death, and tyranny. We do not know what will happen next, and thus I cannot offer you a call for action. So this statement serves one simple, but all-important purpose. It is to acknowledge what happened. It is to remind you that this show is, as much as anything else, a Bangladeshi show. Bangladesh exists, and it has bled in darkness. This cannot be allowed. You and I know it happened.
The Morning is Full by Pablo Neruda. The morning is full of storm in the heart of summer. The clouds travel like wet handkerchiefs of goodbye, the wind traveling, waving them in its hand. The numberless heart of the wind beating above our loving silence, orchestral and divine, resounding amongst trees like a language full of walls and songs. Wind that bears off the dead leaves with a quick raid and deflects the pulsing arrows of the birds. Wind that topples her in a wave without spray and substance without weight and leaning fires. Her mass of kisses breaks and sinks, assailed in the door of the summer's wind.
Uduasha City, where the sun is a mirror and the moon a shadow, where dancers cavort in forbidden operas, making love to forgetting and flame, where the wealthy play at war with silver swords and silken sashes, where the people mine the dead heart of a burning star for cannonballs and pipework, and where 1,000 secrets hide in a forest of paper and ink. Here, the 5 keybearers reside, the 5 who know the secrets of the broken gates of death. 5. 5 only. There is no 6th spire, forlorn and forgotten in the desert. There is no one who looks to the displaced, the poor and destitute and landless, whose ancestry has been stripped from them by foreign looms and foreign sparkcraft, and no one has ever heard of the House of Endings. But this is their story. Their roots pulled up and burned, they stand in filth up to their necks, and that is precisely why they must keep their heads ever high. Welcome to Uduasha, immigrant. May it fear the name of the house you will build. Welcome to Desperate Attune, an actual play podcast about characters with their identities in peril, played by an international cast devoted to fiction-first gaming, collaborative world-building, and complex character drama. Welcome to Desperate Attune, everyone. We are in the middle of the desert this week. As I'm sure you'll remember from last week, but in case you need a little refresher, we have gone out into the desert in pursuit of a bodyguard of the Lord Governor named Darta, who is a member of the Silver Nails, who are this Severosi elite fighting force, who work for the Lord Governor on sort of a private capacity, and he has attempted to make contact with a desert tribe called the Cholmondoleys tribe for political reasons of his own, essentially trying to pull them away from the demon houses and have them work with him personally. The Cholmondoleys are a tribe who are either bandits or legitimate landowners, depending on who you ask, but they take stuff from people who pass through their lands as kind of a toll, and are known to be a dangerous tribe. Now, the reason the crew took on this job was that the Omid and Jasper's Jezailchis, the mercenary crew that's been hounding the Kethrisi community, were interested in this opportunity as well, and so the crew pursued them and cut them down, basically, in what went very well, and have taken Omid prisoner and have returned to their cave, which is a cave that gives some solace out in the desert and in the Deathlands, and in this case will permit the crew to take a brief downtime break even in the Deathlands in order to be able to keep going. So that is how we have decided to frame this claim, which was won by Mushfik, Moss, and Clem a little while ago. So it's the Smuggler's Cave with a piece of a star in it. And I think that's where we are picking up. Did I miss anything?
We did, in the last session, to be clear, awaken the ghost of a long forgotten Paleolithic era, and then we destroyed it in what may have been a crime not just against like humanity, such as it is, but also dinosaurity.
Yes.
So
Yes.
something to keep in mind.
That is something to keep in mind. Another thing that hasn't been fully resolved from that period is that Samum is once more freed of the sash, not freed completely, but sort of out of the Pokeball, and you will have to put it back in.
Yeah.
Wait till I tell the people at work that we killed the ghost of an ecosystem.
Yes.
Oh my god! You should write a paper about this. You could call it auto phantasmography.
Oceanic autophantasmography.
Yes, correct.
It's interesting to fisheries and other stakeholders.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yes.
Hate you so much. Okay.
Yeah. We just need to work in Arctic humanities semi-ontology angle, and we're golden.
Yeah, perfect.
Mm-hmm. Why am I thinking of work? I have to think about work tomorrow. Today is not the day.
Yeah, today is the day to go to a little cave with a freaky ass piece of a star in it that makes everything warm and weird.
Yes.
Indeed. So I will frame the opening here as, this cave with this gloomy and haunting light in it when the piece of the Udu is uncovered. And it really just is an ember, and like most things in this world, it is slowly dying, but slowly being the operative world, because stars burn for a very long time. The sun died 800 years ago, and the embers of that still glow in the sky on occasion. And so here is a little piece of warmth and comfort, and a little place without ghosts that dare not make their way into this cave, or even really near the cave when the fire is unveiled. And here we find our crew gathered around the fire in various states of exhaustion, because you have been through a lot. There are a few of Gurban's people here in the back. They have taken care of Omid for now, taking custody of him, leaving you time to prepare for the rest of the score and to catch some rest and work out what little you have gleaned from Omid's information, and probably from whatever maps were held by the people you ambushed. You have some reasonable sense of where the Cholmondoleys probably are.
I was puttering around during the introduction, so I don't know if I missed this, but did we talk about the mechanics of the downtime?
I mentioned yes. So you get one downtime action that you can take in the Deathlands, and you are choosing to take it now in the middle of the score because you rather badly need it. And because Gurban's people are here, you can also pay to acquire assets and such things. But of course, the selection will be rather limited. They can't bring anything out in the desert.
I will point out for both us and particularly mechanical-minded listeners that Saida has a special ability that gives them special armor, which resets at the beginning of downtime, which means that they don't get it back. The reason this is important is that that's the special armor was what let them last session do some mad, weird, fucked ghost shit.
Yes. Yeah, that is correct. This is not an actual downtime phase. It just lets you take a downtime action mid-score. And sort of fictionally, because we have the smugglers team here, you can also buy things without it necessarily having to be a flashback.
Yeah, it's a good thing to clarify, because Bidri also has calculating, which does not fire because it's not downtime. All right. I think this is one of those occasions where we need to think a little bit tactically in terms of what we're going to be doing with our downtime. Because Mushfik is on death's door. We are looking at 3 trauma and 1 stress away from trauma number 4 with no safety net. So Mushfik should definitely indulge his vice and do that as many times as he needs to, depending on his role.
I
And
will
you
say
also
here, I was just going to say that because, so I was thinking about this as well, and because Mushfik's vice is food, and now I also have a food-related vice. I think we could indulge vice together, which means that I could give you a die.
From functioning vice or something else?
I was imagining that. I guess it doesn't make sense, but I was thinking I was just gonna assist him on the indulge vice roll.
Oh yeah, sure. You can assist on the indulge vice roll. It's unorthodox, but I'll allow it.
Yeah, because like what it'll do is that like I'll take 1 stress, but I'm still below 6. So when I roll my own indulge vice, I'll figure it out. But it should be able to.
Okay.
Sure. So go on with the tactical description, then I'll cut back to what this means.
So the other thing is that Mushfiq has a half-filled clock to remove a trauma, gain a new trauma, gain a trauma box.
Remove a trauma, I think is what we were saying.
Okay. Yeah. I like the name of this. It's called Dust Yourself Off. Proceed. So it's half-filled, and Bidrohi has only 2 stress. So I propose Bidrohi helps you work on this clock through some sort of touching scene. We've been talking about a Bidrohi Mushfiq heart-to-heart for a while. That'd be good. Anyone else who does not need to indulge vice, who is also, I think, encouraged to participate in this action. It'd be good to get Mushfiq's. Basically, like I think out of character priority at the moment really is to make sure Mushfiq continues. Which we've spoken about this to the listeners a few times. Like it's quite tricky, unlike regular blades where you drive your character like a stolen car and then they burn out and then you just make a new one. That's much less difficult to do. That's much more difficult to do in a podcast. Yeah. All right. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Anyone can go first, I suppose. Maybe it makes sense to start with Mushfiq. Or Prince, you wanted to say something to touch the scene?
Yeah, I was thinking we can start with Mushfiq, and the question is simple, right? Like, this is the desert. It's difficult to bring things out here. You don't have the comforts of like a cook. So what sort of food have you brought with you that isn't just rations? And the second question is, will you heat it over well fire?
My answer is now going to be yes, because I imagine that the mango that is grown from the warmth of the well tastes particularly good if made into a chutney and then eaten with something that's heated by well fire.
Okay, so Saida is going to cook for Mushfiq, is what you're saying. You are going to prepare a chutney.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And rations don't have to taste like garbage. Like I'm sure we got rations from Moonlit's boarding house, which has good food.
Absolutely, they don't have to taste bad, but Mushfiq's vice is extraordinary food, not just okay food, right? So
fancy bitch. Hoist by your own petard right now.
So yeah,
I suppose what this means is like it's like a small amount of excellent food is better than a large amount of just already. Yeah.
Okay, so if Saida is indeed cooking by wellfire, I want you to narrate what that looks like, because like this is. I know it's not sacred to you because you're from Kethris. This is not like you're not of the Udu Ashan culture, but it still is like alien arcane fire, and you are going to use it to cook.
Sure.
So, what sort of precautions do you take, or what does it look like as you do this?
So I think that I am so the fire itself. Like I've been imagining it thus far as like kind of a weird hanging flame. Is that what it is? Or like it's just like suspended in midair and then like the closer you get to it, the hotter it gets? Or is it different? Like what does it look like?
Yeah, I think it's been described as basically glowing like an ember. So like it's incredibly hot, but it is in some ways like a physical piece of fire.
Yeah.
Like,
so maybe it's like embedded in the ground somewhere or in a wall.
Yeah, probably embedded in the ground in the very back of the cave is I think how it was described. Basically, I think this cave is a crater that this thing made once upon a time, coming in at an angle. So
Okay, so in that case, I think what it is that normally the kind of setup that would have a flame underneath it, instead of that, what is happening is that I have like a vessel that looks something like a wok, and if you get close enough to the flame, and that's not like super close, right? I'm still like 15, 20 meters away from it. But if you get close enough, that like it is hot enough that the wok itself like is able to like become warm. Of course, the problem is that like the heat that you would need to heat up a piece of metal is actually really bad if it like hits my skin directly. So I'm probably like wrapped head to toe in cloth. Right?
Yeah, so you're just going up like closer
myself
to this thing than advised.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like oppressively hot. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, my eyes are tearing, that kind of thing. But that's I kind of enjoy the work, right?
Yeah.
And I think what I'm gonna make is so first I'm gonna make some rice. And the nice thing about making rice is that I can put it there and then I can retreat and the rice will cook.
Yeah.
So that saves me some being near the fire. And I think what I'm going to do is I've brought some spices. So I am going to add the spices to the rice and just make what is for me comfort food, which is just rice with cumin, with jeera. And then I'm going to make some chutney and some dal, and it's going to be fine. Like, it's just going to be... And this is very, like, Khethrisi food, because we have farms, so we can grow pulses and we can grow rice, which I don't think is true maybe anywhere else in the world, in this world.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. All right. Spend your stress now, then, I guess,
Yes.
to assist Mushfiq. And this stress represents just being near.
Being near the fire. Yeah. Absolutely. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I think that, like, when I come back, Mushfiq, I think, because we're talking about this as extraordinary food, is the extraordinary nature of this that, like, it's homemade food out in the Deathlands? Is that what makes it extraordinary? Like, why is this relieving your vice where maybe, like, Mundit's rations aren't?
I think so. I mean, like, obviously this, this is being made with care, right? Where Mundit's rations are, I think, it's just, like, rations for people in the boarding house, which it doesn't have quite the same.
Sure.
Yeah, so the secret ingredient is love and also ancient arcane fire from a dying star. Also that, but mostly love.
That is right, yes.
Okay, I suppose roll your indulge vice and see how much Mushfiq enjoys the food.
You're cooking for all of us, right?
Yeah, probably.
Right?
It's just Mushfiq is the only person to recover stress.
5 amount. Not bad.
5 amount.
5 amount.
Yeah.
There's room to enjoy it even more.
Yeah, I mean, if the fire is hot enough that you can't get close to it, it's hot enough to forge by, right?
Oh yes, it's absolutely hot enough to forge by.
So when I indulge my vice and somebody comes along with me, would you like to adjust that by 1 or 2 and relieve some new stress with sit by my fire?
You know what we should do? We should all sit near the fire and eat.
Yeah.
And it'll be great for all of us, but also that's fucked up because it's very hot.
Yeah. Okay, so you have an ability that lets you... people can relieve stress more easily when they join you in your vice, which is forging stuff. So, yeah.
Did you make my wok?
out of someone's shield.
Don't bring the shield into this. It's only just been cleaned from Gulab Jamun.
Yes.
Not cooking rice.
Not your shield. Just
Someone
literally
else's
someone's
shield.
Yeah.
So tell me, Clem, how are you indulging your vice here in this place? Because you already made the wok, but if you want to indulge your vice here,
I would like to indulge my vice, and I think it takes the form of I've brought a chunk of metal out with me, and I think by probably inadvisably close to the flame, but Clem's already bundled up when in Uduasha, so they're not terribly bothered by the furnace. Terribly. They are forging a knife, I think, right now.
Yeah.
The clang echoes off the walls of the cave, so it's not particularly peaceful time right now.
All right. You make a knife. Let's see your roll.
Yes,
And then
let's see.
let Mushfik clear some more stress if he wants.
There we go.
Oh, that's a nice roll.
Completely cleared,
Nice.
yeah.
Mhm.
Nice.
So how does it work? How does join in your vice? Like, how does it work? Do I have to roll again?
No, you don't
so
have to,
you
but
can-
you can if you want.
Yeah.
You can spend resources to roll again, and
I think that might be so. Like completely mechanically, I think it depends on whether you think you are likely to roll this time and need the plus or minus 2 with this roll, or whether you think the 5 is as good as you're going to get and you want to apply to that roll and then do something else with another action. But
I've got 5 stress left,
Mhm.
so even if I overindulge, I can adjust it down and clear
Down.
all my stress.
yeah.
yes, correct.
So it's probably
Yeah.
wise to use this ability on your second roll then. So are you spending rep or coin for a second roll?
I mean, you could use the ability on the first roll, but put it up by 1 to indulge
Only
6,
one.
and then on your next one, you'll be more likely to hit it, and you won't be able to overindulge because
We don't have to
you'll have the
get
safety
into the
net.
details of this. It can be applied to either roll. I'm fine with it. It will prevent an overindulgence in either case now.
I think I'll I think I'll spend coin, and the reason I'm spending coin is because I think Mushfik has paid Gurban to establish a supply line.
Yeah,
of
makes
food,
sense. So there is a stash out here, not just of essential food supplies, but there is a stash of spices. It's part of the food stash. Like, yeah.
I love some Jita rice. By the way, if you are listening to this and you are hungry, Jita rice. That's what you want to eat right now.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
What?
That was not a reaction to Jiro Dice. That was a reaction to Mushfik's vice roll.
Yes,
okay,
but
sorry. I was like,
after adjusting it down by 2, it's not so bad. I
Yeah,
only
you
have 2
can
stress now.
you roll the 1, you turn it into a 3. You have 2 stress remaining, so you don't clear it fully.
Very good. It's fine.
Thank you, sibling Clem.
Thank you, Klow.
Okay, so it's down to Bidrohi to be the one man who can help Mushfik do his long-term project.
Yes.
Actually, then before you do that, let me eat my mango chutney and see how much vice I relieve. Sorry, how much stress I relieve.
Yeah. Okay. Everyone is
it's
stressed out
clearly
as hell
growth.
except Bidrohi. So
Yeah, I'm chilling.
Yeah. So clearly we're just all like having a meal, which is nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a 4. So
And-
if I adjust it by 1,
Yeah.
because I'm hanging with Clem, that becomes a 5. So I have 0
Yeah.
stress. Thank you, sibling Clementine.
Yeah. Very good.
I do have another downtime action I want to do. I'm just flagging.
Yep. Very good. So everyone except Bidrohi is focusing on food and working by the fire.
Yeah, I
Bidrohi
mean, I'm
is-
there. I'm
yeah.
eating. I'm helping with the cooking and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I compliment the food. It's very good. But you can see that I'm clearly kind of like stressed out by the events of today. And then I think like there's not really much space for privacy here, is there?
It's a fairly like sizable cave, but it's linear, so to speak. Like there's close to the fire and there's the cave mouth, and those are like the 2 areas of it. So in terms of privacy, you can walk back out and look at the desert.
Yeah. How about we do that? Then I think Bidrohi volunteers for cleaning the walk, like with desert sand, scouring it. And he asks Mushfik to come be his to kind of like keep watch while he does that.
Yeah, makes sense. It's still dangerous out there.
Sorry, what are you doing?
So I'm going to talk to you outside. We're going to look at the stars and stuff. And the pretext for this is that I need to go outside and clean the walk with desert sand.
Okay.
Mushfik bhai, will you come with me? I don't want to get like snatched by, I don't know, some sort of like big bat thing, you know?
Yeah. That's a very reasonable request.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Mushfiq puts on his plate, just pats himself down and walks out into the starry night.
Yeah. And I think so what does this what does the sky normally look like out here? Have we described this?
We have not, and I think this is a perfect opportunity to turn this question back to the two people who are looking at it. So, yeah, Bidruhi, you can start here with what does the weather look like in the sky here? Like you can see the stars and so on, but what else is going on with the weather phenomena?
It is clear and bright. There are many stars in the sky. It's brightly lit. But unlike in our world where the stars are basically just where they are, and every now and then maybe you can see a comet pass by or something if you're really lucky. Here the stars are pinwheeling. They're shifting like an ocean current. Tossed from one end to the other. And I think people here don't have ideas of constellations. They have ideas of currents. So we're staring up towards certain currents and all that.
Yeah, very good. I have another question from Mushfiq just to establish these things about the night sky then, which is what is the way through the stars by which you navigated when you were out in the wilderness with your ustad? Like, what did you know? What was your home in the night sky? What was the thing you always navigated by? And how does it feel to you to see it now?
Okay, I think if we're navigating by currents, then a fixed position, like a point of reference, would be something that's fixed, like a whirlpool or of stars.
Oh yeah.
Or like a spiral, yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, and I think, well, because there are stars and Ketras isn't that far away, I think what strikes Mushfiq is that it looks very much the same. So, and I think that's what strikes him is that it's very nostalgic, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we see this swirling whirlpool of stars above, looking down through the clear skies, and you talk.
Yeah. Also, we're in a mountainous region, right? So whatever like very faint glimmer of the sun, of the shattered sun that marks dawn and dusk is basically invisible. So I think for the first time in Bidruhi's life, he's unable to tell what time of day it is.
Oh yeah.
So that's very strange. So I think we are probably scrubbing in. Well, I was going to say in silence, but I think Bidruhi is nattering on about like how lovely the jeera rice was and all that, and asking like Sherakatam, I saw you going back for seconds. Listen, I understand. I won't tell anyone. Wink, wink. But you can't. These are like rations, man. And he's got a big smile.
I think Mushfiq's probably deep in thought, and so maybe he doesn't quite catch it what he says in the first time, and then he goes, "Oh, yeah," and he'll sort of play it off with the, "Well, I'm a growing boy. I need my energy."
Yeah, especially since you like threw most of your bananas away.
Oh no! I picked them up. I got them back, of course. But who threw them away?
I beg your pardon?
You're eating sandy bananas?
Come on, they returned to Mushfiq by themselves. They're banana ranks.
Oh my god!
Get with the time.
I hate you so much! No! I saw it 1 second before you said it! Oh, why?
Yeah.
Here, I think. Have
one. Oh, lovely.
No, it does, but it's a trick because it returns to me before you can catch it.
No, well, you can't just say that. You can't just say that. I'm going to roll finesse. It's a 4.
We'll allow it.
What does that mean?
We'll-
What does it make sense?
I think it means that you catch a banana, but only with your sword. You can't catch one with your hand. So, like, if you draw your sword and stab the banana, you can catch it. Which is a weird sentence to say, but
Yes, well, that's what I do. Mostly out of reflex, because suddenly there's a banana flung at my face. Okay. And then
Mushrik says, it's weird that they do that, you know? They always come back to me. The aerodynamics make no sense, but it always happens.
The aerodynamics of the banana-rang.
Yeah.
Sherikatam, it is because everyone wants to keep coming back for more when they see you, okay? I have told you this many times.
I have now decided that Mushfik is indeed a character from a Souls-like game, as was the inspiration. He's just a character from a run where you play with one of the joke weapons. That's it's
Oh god. So I think there's I don't know if like Mushfik has picked up on this, but like Bidruhi isn't just being his normal jocular self, because he was quite somber a while ago, and now he's like he's clearly doing this with intent. So I do give you an opportunity to comment on that if you want. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going.
Okay, well, let's see if Mushrik does pick up on that. Well, no. I rolled study and it's a 1. It's a 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I think he then says, Mushrik, about your like bananas and like, you know, your general like, you know, slapstick, happy-go-lucky tactics. Something that's like really been puzzling me about this whole thing. Do you mind if I talk about this?
You're going to talk about it regardless.
But if you mind, then there's a chance that I won't.
No, go ahead.
It's not a high chance. But I have your consent. Okay, very good. Let us proceed. Excellent.
Yeah.
You know, like this, what we did out there was pretty fucked up. Not in the sense of like we shouldn't do that again. Because like, you know, we've gone over this many times. Like violence is what it is, right? No reason to shy away. But like, damn, it really takes a toll, doesn't it? And like, I mean, I didn't like really draw my sword in anger like this time, and like no one died by my hand this time, but like, you know, people did die because of what I helped everyone else do. And you know, there's also there's that, what was his name? Puddin, whatever his name was. Fuck, I should remember the man's name. I killed him, right? But also Milo Klow. And like, just 2 direct deaths and like a few indirect deaths, and already it's like weighing on me. And what I'm thinking is like, sibling Clem, clearly, like, you know, the way the war did what the war did for them, like, you know, I still don't really understand that person. Like, you know, I really like them, but I don't understand them. And clearly, I think a lot of it is because I don't understand what the war did to them. And it clearly hurt them a lot. And then there's you, Mushrik Bhai. You spent all your life, so much of your life in the jungle, fighting for our people. You know, your Ustad got kidnapped and so on. And now you're out here in the desert. And like, your response to all of the sibling Clem's response to all of this is being hyper violent and terse and beating people up with a shield. Your response to all of this is to throw bananas at people. Please help me understand like the dichotomy.
The Mushrik sort of scratches at his chin, looks up, and says, I mean, what? Only Clem can answer why they do as they do. As for me, I'm not sure what you want me to say. The bananas are just bananas. There's nothing much to it. As for,
I mean, Yeah, I'm not doing the whole like the whole like new psychology or whatever it is called that's coming out of Akoros these days. Sometimes a banana is just a banana, but like
Sometimes
sibling
it's a phallic
claim.
representation. I'm just saying.
Is that what Saida says from the cave?
No, I think actually you hear this because one of Gurban's thugs is an amateur psychologist.
Okay. Very good.
A psychologist.
Yes.
The study of sickles.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
They are also bendy, so it fits.
Oh god. But then Bidri says, but like, no, it's okay. I mean, obviously, sibling Clem's reactions to the war. They on the surface they make sense, right? They're like intuitive, like it's what you would expect from someone who went through the war, and like it really fucked them up. But Mushfiq Bhai, like the bananas, the elaborate traps, the Captain Mackerel bit, these, they're like, they really do puzzle me, like when I first heard, there's like badass gorilla man joining our school, you were a magnificent surprise. I expected a cool badass ninja man, and I know that you are one, but also you are so many other things. And I mean, maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree, but like I'm trying to understand, like, is this also something from the war in some way?
What, throwing bananas at people?
Maybe? I don't know. Did you throw bananas at people in the war? And if not, where did it come from?
Is this a good place to roll, you think? Like working on this project and also seeing how well Bidri understands Mushfiq? Something like that?
Yeah, maybe. Should it be a concert? I think or is it a sway to persuade Mushfiq that deep down inside his bananas are not just a banana?
Up to Mushfiq, I say.
Yes.
This is to help you treat your trauma. So
I mean, out of character, I never thought that Mushfiq tossing his ancestor bananas to deal with like supernatural entities was a symptom of the war. Right, that was just
it's a symptom of something.
I mean, he's clearly he's clearly a bit mad, like, but he's been like that for a long time. Like, remember, he's from a school for troubled boys, right? So,
well, this is what Bidroi thinks, and
yeah.
Maybe it's off the mark, maybe it's not.
Okay,
but like
in that case, I think Mushfiq is very straightforward and said that, oh no, Bidroi, the bananas, that's from a long time ago. Everyone throws bananas at everyone in Kethrus.
Oh, okay. Maybe there's a thing here. Yeah.
Yeah, and Mushfiq's gonna, I don't know if like it's Mushfiq's turn to kind of like put in a little joke and see if Bidroi catches on, because Bidroi doesn't know too much about Kethrus, does it? Like it's part of the culture there, but of course, you grew up here, you wouldn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then you know what? This conversation is going to devolve into a long, searching conversation with Mushfiq, where Bidri asks him all about like the finer points of banana warfare.
Mm-hmm.
Like you remember, like in school when we had pen fight.
Yes.
And we'd be like, oh, this model of pen, this model of pen, and this angle of flick.
I hate this because, as everybody knows, the only thing that mattered was how quick your fingers were. Like, it really did not matter. But okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to learn the meta.
You're going to learn the meta of the banana.
It seems that Tree is not aware of the OP Cello point tech gel pen.
Yeah, well, I mean, we had ag gel, but let's be real. I think that was just marketing.
Here, Tree, get yourself one of these.
Let me check if I have any relevant bonuses to talking about the banana meta.
I'm learning so much right now.
What the hell did you guys get up to at school?
Yeah.
Pen fight.
Oh, no way! Oh my god, you're going to try and tell me this was the meta? Oh my... This proves it. I come from a superior culture. I'm sorry, it's just true. There is no way that. Oh my god!
This thing was unbeatable. It just spun on an axis. It never went anywhere.
What is it wrong?
They're
with you?
$30 for
Also-
5.
Yeah.
Good
I
God.
mean,
That's
Attune was expensive even when I was in school, to be honest. So
Anyway, I have rolled a 3.
Mm.
It turned out that actually the banana meta is just a side distraction. It helps a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's not at the core of what's wrong with Mushfiq.
So there's one tick to Mushfiq's project of helping him. And I will point out, just to inject a thought here about something that is established, actually, the bananas do have power over ghosts simply by growing on trees that have power over ghosts. So
Yeah, that was the whole point.
Yeah.
That was the whole point from the start.
So there probably
made
is
sense.
some real cultural ritual behind it. Mushfiq is just bullshitting because he doesn't want to talk about it, probably.
Correct.
I think that's what's learned here. Like, I think that makes sense, right? The trauma progresses slowly because you learn that Mushfiq is bullshitting you because he doesn't want to talk about what is really going on. And I think the interesting thing here, like, this is a very funny scene, but I also think there's something interesting here about Mushfiq's spirituality, because these are sacred trees after all. So
Yeah,
I'm just tossing that in, right?
I mean, I think like it's been like in the back of my mind that like for Saida and for Moss, for whom like the trees are so like sacred and important, for some reason like Mushfiq doing this has never been like blasphemy ? Right?
Yeah.
Like we've never been like, how can you? What do you mean banana split Sunday? You know, like, and I think that's also like we just don't talk about each other's traumas to each other. Is I think what's
Wait,
going on
holy
there.
shit! Bananas are so powerful that they can split apart the concept of Sunday.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Anyway, also, like, just to clarify,
Quantum
Vidre wasn't leading into a huge conversation about the banana meta because he thinks there's a banana meta, but because Mushfiq clearly doesn't want to talk about it. But let's have a good time talking about the banana meta.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this is a realistic part in working through a trauma. Sometimes it's just good to talk, even if the person you're talking to is clearly bullshitting you. So
Yeah. Very good. Now let's go beat up Omid.
Yeah, I have one. I have one thing I want to do before we do that. So I mean, I kind of had it in mind, and then you mentioned that, of course, Gurban's guys are here, and we can buy things from them.
Yeah.
So I want to ask them if they have any Cathericy trinkets made of wood.
Oh, interesting. I mean, they're smugglers, so it's not impossible that they do.
Yeah, they may well do, right? So
Yeah.
I will spend 2 stash just to roll out here to see if we can acquire an asset.
Okay.
Is Gurban in any way like? But he's not at cohort, right? So like, we're not going to get an extra.
He's not your cohort, but I think his factions are allies with you. Let me double check.
Oh, okay.
No, they are not quite allied with you. They like you, but they are not quite allied.
Okay, so maybe like we'll just like we can just use that as color, but it's not like enough for an extra die.
No, it's not enough for an extra dice. No, it's something you can absolutely work on. But I mean, the interesting thing about Gurban is you actually like you stole his cave from him, but it wound up that he negotiated a deal with you where he's like, fine, let's share it.
Yeah.
So it's like a friendly relationship, but he's not going to stick his neck out any further for you, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that I will spend. So I rolled a 4, which means I get a tier 1 thing. I'll spend my last stash. I guess it's just a bit of barter, right? Like I'm giving them something, they're giving me something. All
right. So you're looking for a trinket made of wood, made in Kethris or made here? Like, is it important that the wood is Kethrisy or that the craftsmanship is?
It's important that the wood is Kethrisy because the craftsmanship is about to be Kethris.
Yeah. Fair enough. And I don't think the Kethrisy make an awful lot of things out of the sacred wood anyway, because it's sacred.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah. I think what these people will give you... Yeah, you mentioned people make like mostly furniture out of it, but now you're looking for a trinket. I think it's like a walking stick. It's like a walking stick for an old person, and it's used the natural grain of the wood. So it's like a root carved into a walking stick.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like portable. And it's mostly preserved the grain of the wood, but with a few embellishments, notably a bit of metal stuck on at the bottom.
Okay. So what I want to do then is I want to go up to Clementine. Mechanically, this is because I'm all out of cash, and I want Solti to give me some cash. But fictionally, it's because the other two are off having a conversation inside, so Clem's the only person I can ask. And I will present the walking stick to them, and I will say, I'm going to go toss this in the fire, and I feel like a smith might be useful.
Before Clem responds, I like the idea that you did try to come up to Bidrohi and Mushfik, and then you heard.
Oh, the banana.
What if the banana is like, really thick and sturdy?
Yeah. Oh yes, this is that psychology they were talking. Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. My Jaru, namaskaram. Fine. Yeah, I got it. Okay. It's okay. Totally, bro. Yeah. Yeah, so I go up to Clem and I'll say, do you mind if I borrow your expertise?
For what exactly?
And I'm going to show you my... I have fine sculpting tools, which I literally never use. I used them once when we were sending moss away, but I'm going to mark them here, I think. And what I'm going to do is spend some time carving the stick into what seems like a figure. You could maybe make out a flower crown at the top. No real features otherwise. And I look at Clementine and I say, he's a god of endings and also a god of beginnings. And there is no reason that the sixth spire must rise made of stone out of the city. It will be a tree against the ocean. And here is as good a place to begin as any.
The technique's all wrong. Give that over. Let me show you how to do it properly. And I think that Clem takes it from you, and you'd like me to spend some stash for this downtime action for you?
Pretty much, yeah.
I think frame it as, because Clem is actually pretty good at tinkering. I went against type and chucked a few in there for them. And I think they're going to carve it. Say, tell me how to carve it.
And I think
Talk to me about this.
And I think what I will say is that moment when we set fire to the spirit of the lake, that moment we committed a crime in order to save those we loved. That.
I know I've done worse, but I don't remember it.
Even if you have, this was... I can't imagine there are more than 10 people in the world that have done as we have done.
Well, there's something about being special, isn't there? No, I don't think this is the kind that most people envision when they give birth to somebody. You'll be special, yes. Killing things that were already dead.
When my mothers gave birth to me, they told me that the dead never die. Turns out they were wrong.
Is it death if we'll still remember them?
Let's find out.
Yeah. And Clem hands you back the Prince of Endings, King of Beginnings.
Yeah.
There you go.
Would you ask Mushfiq and Vidrohi to come in?
I suppose. Yes. I can. But why are you asking me to do this?
Are you
I
not
saw
one
you
of
go
us?
out to them. I saw you go out to them first.
I went out because I thought that I'm doing this for Mushfiq and he should be here. And he was what he was speaking of. Let us not examine, except to say that they were speaking of something that probably meant a great deal to them, but they were busy and you were not. And if you had not been free or able to help, I would have done it myself, I suppose. But you are one of us, Clementine. That's why I asked you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll get them. And I think Clem levers themselves up from where they were sitting and turns their face away from Saida to go back out to the opening. Are you still chatting about the banana matter?
We're done by now, aren't we?
I think we moved on to how we should torture Omid. I'm like, okay, Sherekatamba, here's what you should do. You should challenge him to banana fight, but give him give him the really
A plantain.
wobbly. Yeah,
Mm.
you have a. Do you have a plantain as well? Like, why are you walking around with so many kinds of bananas, man? That's like really weird. I think this is what we're saying as we're walking back.
Saida wants you. Both of you.
No, Mushfiq shrugs and continues.
Sibling Clem, what is your opinion of plantains?
They're all right. Pretty tasty. I like them fried.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're better fried, I think.
Yeah, Vidra is nodding. This is a good conversation we're having.
Yeah, and then you walk inside and see Saida holding a carven effigy, and Bidruhi realizes he's about to have a bad time again. I think.
Indeed.
Hey, Syed. Hey, Ustad, what's that?
It is a beginning. Mushfiq,
Yes.
are we agreed that Kethless must attempt something new?
I think he thinks about this. He goes, something, yes.
Well, I cannot save a nation if I am unable to save even myself, or for that matter, those who are alongside me. And there is no reason that it must be a spire.
Yeah, Mushfiq sort of furrows his eyebrows and he goes, what do you mean? What are you planning to do?
He is the prince of endings and the king of beginnings. We will end him and begin him. And maybe that will grant you some peace. Maybe he will end some suffering and begin some.
Oh, cool. This is also working on Mushfiq's traumas?
Yeah.
Ah, interesting.
Correct.
I think we need to explain to me and Mushfiq how exactly this is meant to work.
So I think that what we're doing is that we are symbolically burning something away, right?
Okay.
And we are letting go of the pain that's in us. So the ritual is itself like an effigy of the prince, whom we know kind of looks like us, but not, right? But by burning him, what we're also understanding is that what is within us doesn't need to remain there. We can make our best attempt of letting go of it, right? And I think that Saida's feeling here is probably that sometimes it's easier to do at a distance. Sometimes it's easier to do using the metaphor than it is to face it head on. And maybe that'll make it easier to face it head on once you do it like this. I don't even necessarily know that it is divine here, right? Like it could be, but it is also that like consciously choosing to be like, I'm letting go. That could be healing itself.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think. So Mushfiq sees this effigy in your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he'll look at it. And he said the Prince of Ending sort of looks like us, but not. So I think maybe he looks at it at the effigy and like maybe in a certain way, like as the fires are flickering in a certain way, like in a moment it sort of does look like him, and he understand what you're trying to do. Right?
Yeah.
I think Bidri puts his hand on your shoulder and says, Sherakatam, this burning that is good, but you know how it can be even better.
I do.
Mm-hmm. What's Mushfiq's favorite kind of banana?
Mushfiq's favorite kind of banana is the what was that one kind of banana that used to be the best one, but then I think it's now extinct in the wild. I don't remember the name, but there's one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Put a bunch of those bananas around on a string around this guy and throw both in.
Okay.
And Bidro is like dead serious.
And Mushfiq is horrified. Throw them in? What, like to fry them and eat later?
Sherakatam, tossing this stick away is not a sacrifice. You don't care about it. It doesn't really represent you. Now, if you put your favorite bunch of bananas around it in a garland, now it really represents you.
How big is this effigy? To put a garland.
It was made of like a walking stick, so it's not big. Like a banana on either side will technically be a wreath.
No, because I have a better idea. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one banana and just kind of strap it around the hip like a sword.
Ah, yes. It's armed with a banana. Yeah, there you go.
Sherakatam, you're holding on. It's about letting go.
Well, no, the banana represents violence, you see. And now it's
now the banana represents him.
This
represents him now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, very cool. So, you have a banana-armed effigy, Saida, and what do you do with it?
I am going to take this effigy, get as close to the get as close to the fire as is safe as I can, and hold Mushfiq's hand in one hand, take aim, and throw it like a spear into the heart of the star.
Very good. So first, roll Attune. I think it's fitting here. You've already acquired this as an asset, so it's going to do other things. But one of those asset things is getting the opportunity to pay for a downtime action here, which is working on this clock. So roll Attune.
Yep. As fortune.
Yep. And we'll see how much it works on this clock.
Yeah, and I want to make clear here that I could do this and say it is in the name of the Prince of Endings to get a die, and I'm not. Like that's a deliberate choice here.
Yep. Very good.
So 2 or 3 and a 1.
Okay, so it does not work for Mushfiq to leave everything behind, and I think I know why. So you hurl this stick in. Mushfiq still marks a tick on the clock, and it flies towards the fire. The resin, or like the lacquer that's been used to protect the wood, begins to boil and smoke, and then very suddenly, very abruptly, the whole thing catches a flame as some sort of chemical inside it ignites. And the wood burns, and for a brief moment, it burns with the glow of the ancestor trees. It burns with the brilliant glow of standing in a grove of them. which you have not seen since childhood.
Yeah.
And we see this blue light of Kethris cast about the cave. And Saida, tell me a memory.
When I was in my early 30s, and the pushing out of the farmers was just like beginning to happen. I think I see people not from our village. I think Saida by then had been like traveling, right? But a different village in Kethris, in a forest like this, in a grove, discussing what we could do, what needed to be done. And, some people advocating for violence, some people advocating against violence, some people saying that we should ask the president of the Sublime Republic for representation, right? And I think the memory that engulfs me, at least in this moment, is the memory of hope that I had at that time that, like, since then has basically been completely, like, extinguished from me, right?
Yeah.
But somehow, again, I remember being that hopeful that, like, we could stop it, that, like, things are possible.
Yeah. Okay.
So long before the I'm gonna make God stuff happens to me.
Yeah. Wonderful. And Mushfik, here is why this only gives you one tick, because I think it reminds you of something bad. Tell me about the first time you saw an ancestor tree die.
I think ancestor trees generally are very long-lived, so when they die, it is when they've been destroyed.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's what I'm aiming at. That's why this is a bad memory.
Yeah, and we've touched on villages being burned down quite a lot, and I think that's pretty much what we're looking at. And probably, I think specifically maybe okay. So Mushfik and his band, I think they were trying to get to a village, maybe to head off some like accuracy mercenaries that were heading that way, right? And by the time they got there, it was too late. And they knew it was too late because they could smell the smoke. They could see this blue fire. And when they came into the clearing, just all around in a ring, these ancestor trees were burning in this brilliant blue flame. And you could see, as you can see, like the silhouettes of people running around. You can hear the butchery, and I think that's what this reminds him of.
Yeah. Makes sense. I want to pivot to the other two characters as well, because this is a significant moment. So Bidruhi, this is the first time you've seen the true brilliant light of a healthy ancestor tree, if only for a moment. The ones you've seen in Uduasha never glowed like this. And how does it make you feel to see this brilliant thing, which I think you understand for a moment, is what the light looked like in Kethris. The trees glowed even when not on fire, right? They had this glow. And you've heard from your mother many, many times that this was what people had instead of the Udu. This was the light to guide your path. How does it feel to see it for the first time?
The initial reaction, unfortunately, is that it looks weird, looks kind of fucked up, and he misses the Udu.
Yeah, makes sense. And lastly, Clem. You have never seen anything remotely like this, nor heard about it. What about the blue fire absolutely terrifies you?
What about the blue? I think they had a clipping of one of these in Baron Gunnar's mansion, and Clem burnt it.
Okay, so you're also having traumatic flashbacks joining Mushfik.
Of course.
Yeah, incredible.
Joining Mushfik, you say?
Yeah. All right. So, for a brief moment, the cave is illuminated with the blue light of Kethris, and then it fades as the fire is consumed, the spirit essence falls into the well, and the warm, eerie red glow of the well resumes in the cave.
I want to know how Omid reacted to that.
Oh yeah, Omid,
Yeah.
who is still here, I guess. You mentioned having the smugglers drag him back. I think he reacted much the same as Mushfiq, actually. Like, this is not pleasant memories for him. He has also seen these things burn, and it is also.
He has set some on fire? Question mark?
Yeah, he has set them on fire. Yeah. And I think it's evident now that he does not have pleasant memories of this either. This is, yeah. He looks at it and is lost in memories, and some amount of PTSD manifests in him as well. As for the smugglers, I think they, much like Clem, just look at it in fear. Like, this is weird ghost light that they have not seen before, and that feels to them instinctively unnatural. But then again, this is true for many of the cities across the Shattered Isles. All of their ghost wards seem unnatural to each other. So
yes, which they should, because they're weird.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
All right.
And moments later, it is as if nothing had happened, and the fire burns on as it did before.
Yeah. So I think this happens, and then I will squeeze Mushfiq's hand, and then I will say,
He does care.
Yeah, I think. Question mark. And then I will say, so let us interrogate this prisoner.
Also, out of character, you should totally have thrown away the bunch of bananas like I said you should have. That's what you get.
Well, progress has been made, at least, on Mushfiq's trauma.
Yeah, I mean, almost there. Yeah, I think like it is forcing us to treat the trauma with the gravity it deserves, because we rolled many dice and simply failed.
Very good. Okay, we've already had a lot of conversation scenes, so I don't want to linger too long when you ask it Omid questions. I think what will happen here simply is that you can get what information Omid has about what lies ahead. And we will treat this as just getting a 6 on a gather information roll, because he is your prisoner. Let's not roll for it. So, so what you've already found out, basically, is that they knew that negotiations broke down between Darta and the Cholmondoleys. And what else do you wish to know?
Does he know, like, what the deal is?
Oh yeah, that's a good question, actually.
Yeah. Like what all this is about? I think it's also realistic if he doesn't know, because they've just been hired to retrieve.
I was wondering about that, if it is realistic whether he knows or not. But I think it makes sense that he wouldn't, right? Because they're just hired to fetch the guy back. So, and I feel like this is the sort of thing that would be on a need-to-know basis, because,
I was gonna say it's possible that maybe his boss knows, but he wouldn't, right? Like,
yeah, like Jasper probably, maybe Jasper knows, but
maybe, yeah.
But yeah, so it's a good question, but I don't think it makes sense for Omid to know the answer simply.
Okay, then I think what we might want to know from him, which he might know, I don't know, is what's up with the Cholmondoleys? Like, what's up with their new leader? Like, can he provide any further information about what their vibe is?
Cholmondoleys? Why are they called Cholmondoleys? Who came up with that?
Yes.
Yeah. Who came up with that? Indeed.
Yeah, it's a very.
It's a corruption of the Cholamandala, which is an ancient tribe of the Severosi.
Yes. Anyway, yes, I think he would know about their new leader. So she is a woman by the name of Lady Jabal. And she does not really use like her first name, as is common with these people, so she just goes by the surname. And yeah, there was a succession crisis. There was some bloody infighting, and she rose up among one of the people with legitimacy claims. And what is known about her is that she is, or what Omid knows about her is that she's kind of a glory hound, and she is also somewhat of a dabbling occultist, as the people in Uduasha are led by the 5 demon houses, but the people out in the desert must rely on living gods or other entities. And you get good information out of Omid. So I think he says, he mentions at some point that when the sands rose around them and the desert wind swept in, he was convinced she was behind it because apparently her faith has something to do with the sandstorms.
Mm.
Oh no!
Why
would you say this to me?
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Because of that reaction.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why.
okay, got it, very good.
Okay,
Mhm.
Omid,
This
just
must
one
be
very
special.
last important piece of detail about this person. And it's just between you and me now. Just between you and me, just as men, okay? I put my arm around his shoulder while he's still tied up.
Mm.
Is she smoking hot?
Yes. Omid just says to you. I think he's like.
Thank you, Omid.
he's
I knew you would have this information. I looked at your face and I knew you would have this information. Don't ask me what that means, but you know what it means.
Yeah.
Right. Very good. I'm glad that you find ways to struggle with your vice. I think it's very important that we're able to do that.
Yes.
Good. Yeah.
Very good.
I have one question actually for him, which is, what, in his opinion, is the key weakness in the fighting style of this tribe? Like, what did he prepare?
Oh,
in
yeah.
case?
Totally. He would know that and be aware of it. I don't, because I haven't thought about fighting styles.
Sure. Yeah.
But in fact, why don't you answer this? I'll just give you leeway to describe what it is.
Okay. Well, it seems to me like maybe new electroplasmic weapons are something that they just do not know how to deal with, right? Like the latest developments in accuracy technology, like they don't even know that they exist, right? Like,
yeah, that makes sense. I think they're very low tech overall. I think like they don't know about the newest electroplasmic stuff, and also, I mean, they're desert people. They don't have very much like manufacturing going on.
Oh,
yeah,
I have
exactly.
So yeah,
I have a very silly idea that I think collides everything together and will make Tree angry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great.
When they don't all fight. Most of the tribesmen are when there's a battle. Most of the tribesmen hang back and start chanting rituals to summon demons, which empowered their champions. And these are the ones who fight in close combat. So the best way to deal with these people is to shoot at them from a big distance with electroplasmic bullets that will push the demons out of their bodies.
Yeah, disrupt the channeling. Yeah, that makes sense. I also think
You're right.
They have this whole deal with desert demons or wind things. I think they also specialize in striking out of they can basically fight blind. I think that's a logical thing when you have that sort of creatures on your side.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Speaking of fighting them at a distance, are we now in possession of Giselles?
Yes, you are. I mean, you looted the fallen people, so you have rifles. Yeah. Or well, Giselles.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very good. I will not sully my hands with such a device, but if you choose to do so, that is between you and your build.
I mean, you can hit someone with it.
Sure.
They're very long, so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Well, we have them. Okay. I don't know if I'll use one, but I have one. All right.
Excellent.
What happens next?
I think we should just go out. No.
We should be the answer from Uduasha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're taking Omid with us, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or should be.
Oh, I thought we were sending him back. Like, I mean, I'm fine if two take him.
Oh, no. We definitely shouldn't send him back. Like, we don't want him to show up before us in Uduasha.
Oh, no, I meant, like, we would tie him up and then have him held in Uduasha in a place where, like, nothing bad could happen to him because we're still out in the desert.
Gurban's people could keep him in the cave.
Gurban's people could keep him in the cave, yeah.
We could. I think I would prefer to have Omid with us because, one, it makes sense for Mushfiq to want to keep an eye on him and sort of be paranoid in that way. Two, I think he might be an asset. And three, he might not be an asset, and actually make things more complicated, which will be fun.
Yes.
Sherikatam, you have to learn to let go of the things you love.
Yeah. So, before I say what happens next, I have a question which we didn't define, I think. You killed the remaining Jezile. What did you do with the bodies?
I think we just left them for the bats.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else? Yeah, there's
Oh.
nothing much else to do.
Good.
We could. I want to make clear what we could have done. Is taken the bodies with us and then thrown them into the.
Yeah, but that would have been a lot of work, and I don't think you're in a position to do that. So
you're not wrong. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Also, I'm not sure what I don't think any of us would really know what throwing bodies into this thing would have done.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So then, as you go outside, you will perceive one of the Jezile standing up again. A body out in the desert, which is weird because Saida performed the last rites over these. The ghosts should have passed on by everything you know, and yet there is a standing figure out in the desert as you approach. And I think to none of you this makes sense, except for to Bidrohi, who has seen this up close once before. There are leeches on the body.
Let's not go there. Guys, other way.
And it will start approaching, kind of with staggers and jags, and not
and
very
Ludwig says,
coherent.
"Well, wait, that's one of your men. Tell him to stop."
That's not one of my men anymore. That's Pus of Ixis.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay.
Is
all right.
Response from the desert.
I think Bidrohi then rears his horse and says, "Okay, let's go back." Because an avatar or a servant of one of the lords of Uduasha has directly addressed him, and now he can't pretend that he did hear that.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. I will see the absolute fear that this is inducing in Bidrohi, and I will say, "You are my student. I will not permit anything to happen to you." Sorry, let me take that again.
I wouldn't say that.
Correct. You are my student. Nothing shall happen to you so long as I am here. Stand behind me. Oi! Pass of Ixis! What do you want?
Yeah. The body is dragged back up next to you, and in some ways it is a mercy to see the demon do this to a dead person rather than a live person.
Jesus Christ, yeah, absolutely.
And there's just a mass of leeches attached to the staggering thing as it comes towards you. And it says, 1,000 apologies for interfering. We have been watching you and are grateful. Very. Are you well out here?
Nothing is well out here. The world is in Uduasha. That's a joke that I'm making to be clear. Sai that does not have this sense of humor. I think, sorry, I will say there can be nothing well out here in the Deathlands, which you know as well as I. I ask again, state your business.
To learn yours at the moment. Why are you here? We missed you, it says, and the body looks kind of towards Bidrohi, who, let me remind you, this thing has shown the ability to track Bidrohi more or less perfectly before.
Yep.
And you've never dealt with it, so...
Yeah. I will say, you are addressing me, Ustad Saida Khatam of the Sword School of the Rising Moon.
Bidrohi gives a thumbs up.
Good. You play at politics, Sword School. Perhaps you should stick to weaponry. The head tilts and the neck breaks with the head tilt.
Yeah. I will say we would not need to meddle with politics if politics let us live our own lives. And it is, of course, beings such as that from which you have arisen that prevent us from doing so. You want us to stop playing politics? It is very simple. Merely permit us our full rights as we deserve, and we will cease.
But we are here to offer that very humble thing precisely. The people you meet, speak our peace with them. House of Ixis would like their friendship. It attempts to smile.
Wait, it wants the Cholmondoleys to become House and Ixis' friends?
Well, yeah, and you. To be clear, it wants both you and the Cholmondoleys to become their assets. This is...
Yeah. I think I will, as it smiles, fucking creepily, I love me what is it called? Sudden Valley?
Uncanny Valley?
Yeah. Uncanny Valley, yeah. I think Sudden
Uh-huh.
Valley might be the development in
Arrested Development.
Arrested Development. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I will say, I know the House of Ixis has had some dealings with them already, which I don't know, but like it would just be logical to assume this.
It's just logical to assume that House and Ixis has its fingers everywhere, because that's just what they do.
Yeah,
This is the House of Shadows and Stealth, after all.
Yeah. And I also know that they must have failed if you're coming to us to assist you.
Yes.
You know my purpose. Permit me, in the Rising Moon School, to go about our purpose. Give me your word, and we will do this.
Okay, so what deal are you trying to strike with House and
So
Ixis?
I think what I'm trying to like they know that like I'm like doing this Prince of Endings thing, right?
Yeah.
And what I want is I understand that like there is no reason they would ask people like us to do something like this if they had better options.
Yeah.
And so what I am making clear is that I will do this and I will represent you like as honestly as I can. Because the job that I got from what's his name? Giscard.
The Lord Governor? Yeah, Giscard.
Yeah. That was just to bring this man back.
Yeah.
Right? That was
absolutely.
the job. It wasn't to do this representation.
Uh-huh.
So I'm happy to do the representation for Ixis, but only if I will get Ixis's word that as I go about my own business, which I'm making clear is like only to protect myself, that Ixis will extend its protection.
Okay, absolutely. You can make this an action roll. I want to clarify there are two things here going on. Just the first, of course, is that with this change of leadership, every political faction in Uduasha lost control of this tribe, right?
Yeah.
Like some rogue element has stepped in that's not allied with anyone, so people are scrambling to try to fix this, which is what basically you're learning by why House and Ixis is here.
Yeah.
And the second thing, just to clarify, is you can totally make this action, but like a consequence of succeeding here will be getting your sword school even more entangled with House and Ixis than they already
I think
were.
that I think like out of character, we did want to see more of the noble houses, and as we tier up, the noble houses are the kinds of like institutions that we're going to be tangling with. So out of character, I'm like trying to position that as well. So if the other PCs and the other players feel like that doesn't make sense, that's fine. Then we can just say that like Ixis would never do this or something. But like this is my thinking.
Yeah. The second thing to establish, which was established a long time ago, is that Anixis and Anrakis have a rivalry, and you have done a lot of things to screw with House Anrakis.
Well,
so
I mean,
this is reason. Yeah.
So this is why. Well, when you poke like a bear, like having another bear on your side is important, especially if the bear is like, I should eat the other bear before I eat the ant.
Yeah.
And hopefully we're just nobody. Don't worry about me.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Very good. Then I think you're in a position to try to sway here.
Yeah.
And this is a powerful creature, but it is not hostile towards you. So I think it's just risky position. And it's standard effect in the sense that you can totally get House and Ixis to just be like, yeah, I don't care about if you bring that guy back or whatever. I don't care about your business. Just make sure that Cholmondoleys, get a chance to speak with us. Basically, put them in touch with us.
Excellent.
I think we also must acknowledge the most important reason to do this, which is House and Ixis asked us to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah.
There is one other wrinkle to all of this, which is that this may be a sliver of a demon, like a piece of a demon, but it is separated from itself now out in the desert, and it's probably never been more vulnerable.
Yeah,
That's
so
what
I
I'm
think that
thinking right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that what I am seeing is, yes, it is probably not, it has never been more vulnerable, but A, we've just come out of a fight. B, it's not going to be, like, it's never been more vulnerable in the way that 91% is technically less than 97%.
Yeah.
And also see that, like, if I can impress upon it, that, like, sure, I could have made your life even more difficult, but I'm willing to work with you. That's part of the goodwill that I'm hopefully, like, entrusted, right?
Okay, so it's risky standard. It sounds like if you want to go this route of being like, technically I could attack you, you can push this to desperate great. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
If you want to go that route.
Yeah, I think desperate great works for me here. I think that's really good. Man, do I want to speak a particularly outrageous, bold-faced lie to gain increased effect?
Yes.
Yes.
You do.
Okay.
Also, you're getting an assist from me.
Yes, great. So in that case, what I will do is I will say, as you know, he has already arrived. He merely makes his way down to Udawasha from his birthplace.
Oh shit! You were telling the bald-faced lie that the Prince of Endings is already here.
Yeah. So what I'm doing is like, so basically what I'm saying is, you've already failed to stop us, right?
Yeah.
So really, what I'm telling you is like, be our friend, and then we can just be friends. It's fine.
Okay, so what the extreme effect will be here, and this is probably not going to sound like extreme effect, but it's just because the demon princes have such absurd scale, is that all of Ixis will not believe this, but a small part of Ixis, this part of Ixis, will believe that the Prince of Endings is legitimately a demon prince. That won't mean it'll be friendly inclined towards it, but
I will take what I can get, because I suspect if I can even convince one demon prince, hey man, wow, it's totally fine. Yeah, absolutely.
So the extreme effect is just, it will acknowledge that the Prince of Endings is real, and it won't even be all of Ixis, just a bit of Ixis, but it will.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, okay, great. What is my, how are you assisting me, Zoheb? Is it the thumbs up?
No. Yeah, now you're intimidating it, yes?
I'm hoping not to, because I have 1 die in command and 3 in sway. I will roll the command, it's fine.
I think it's sway.
I think Bidrohi just kind of switches his robes and reveals the electroplasmic ammunition and so on.
Yes.
Making this. Yeah. You show off
Right.
that you have some weight behind you.
Yeah, and this doesn't have to have like any mechanical thing in the game, but Mufik will also put his robes and show his ammunition of bananas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
A house of secrets. Confuse it.
This is why he didn't throw it in the fire, because he knew something like this might happen.
Yes.
Great. I will also push myself. So I have 2 bonus dice.
Okay.
Desperate.
And desperate extreme. Very good.
I'll take the 5. I will so happily take the 5.
Okay. Yeah. So the creature looks at you, and there is a sense as it like actually scans you with its supernatural senses, and you feel like a hand has been passed straight through you. Something like that. And you learn immediately that, like, because you believe so strongly in the Prince of Endings, you have convinced it. It is as simple as that. Like, it is believing now that you somehow have demon blood,
Sure. Yeah.
Or that you even as the entire family somehow do, because this is what Saida does. Ordinarily,
Yeah.
I think faking this sort of thing is just impossible, but you have done it.
Yeah.
And perhaps it isn't even fake. Perhaps you're retroactively doing things.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. And the desperate consequence, unless you resist it, will be, and I will state what it is, and then we can rewind and undo it if there is a resistance roll, is it says, it like smiles, and it says, "Oh, we understand the blood now. Good.
Oh.
Agreement then.
Fuck.
And
yes.
We know where it is." And yeah, unless you resist it, it is going to have a bead on, most importantly, probably Moonlit and Usra.
Yeah. I will resist this.
Yeah.
And I think the way that I will resist it is that it says I understand the blood, and I will say, you understand it as it is now. But if you seek to know the blood of the King of Beginnings, then you must first understand how his blood ends. And I think what I wanted to do is resist it by focusing it onto myself.
Yep. Very good.
And I'm implying basically that, like, if it sees me die, then it will really understand, right? Like me specifically.
Yep.
Then, yeah, it'll understand the Prince of Ends.
Okay. All right. So you are drawing this. Okay, interesting. Yeah, sure.
Resolve?
Yeah, it sounds like a resolve resist.
And to some extent here, I think, I don't think I can undo the fact that it's interested in Vidrohi, but like I want to draw some attention away from him as well, right? Like, so for me, it's not just Moonlit and Usra, but also Mushfiq and Vidrohi and Clem.
Yeah.
So
okay, yeah. If how you want to frame it is the focus on yourself, that is absolutely fine. This is still kind of going to be a nasty consequence for you, even after resisting. But go ahead and roll.
Yeah, it's going to be bad. But I rolled 4 6s.
Okay. Well, so
I rolled 4 6s, though.
Yeah, okay.
I understand that any number more than 2 doesn't count, but I want to make it clear that on 5 dice, I rolled 4 6s.
Oh, I will make it count here. I'll give you a bonus because it's cool. So first of all, you recover stress because you crit the resistance roll.
Love
so
this. Very
that
good.
happens. Yeah. And second, I think you actually get what you want here. I was planning to just step this down and have this be like an Ixis is interested in you as a crew. But instead, because it's 4 6s and it's just you being fucking impressive, a second demon is now infatuated with you. Congratulations.
Oh my god! Is Ixis in love with me? Oh shit! Or even if it's just a passive Ixis, that's still bad. Okay.
Yeah, a part of it is. A part of it has now decided it is the twisted kind of love of which demons are capable, right? But it has now decided that your blood is irresistible bliss.
Yeah. I have 2 things to say. The first is an incredible time to not have Samum around me.
Yeah.
You know, when one toxic partner isn't around, is the best time to attract another, right?
Good.
The second is that one of my cousins has like, this was like 10 years ago, and it's problematic, but I think it's very funny that, like, he had something that he calls the goalkeeper theory, which is that, like, you can hit on somebody, and just because, like, there's a goalkeeper in front of the goal doesn't mean you can't score. And I think what the Pacifics is doing is definitely, like, avoiding Samum, of whom I'm sure they're aware.
Yeah. So yes, I mean, this is beyond toxic. This is a literal demon aspect of a parasite that is now obsessed with you. So that's fun.
Great.
Why is it a theory to hit on someone who's taken? What?
It's because when we were between the ages of 20 and 23, we tried really hard to convince each other that we were really smart, that we weren't.
I have a theory that ice cream is nice.
You would be wrong. Next.
Very good.
Okay, great, fantastic.
Yeah, so a lot of weird shit happens at once, but yes, Saida manages to accomplish some persuasion here. And I have increased your faction status with House and Ixis to +1. You didn't do the last job they asked you to do, but they are now convinced enough that you are useful assets. So
I love this. I think this is great. I think this is fantastic. And as this occurs, I merely bow. Not so deep as a servant might to its master, but as a colleague might to a superior.
Yeah.
And I will just say, in that case, we will make our way to the Cholmondoleys.
Good, it says. And I think it's one of these things where maybe it had wanted to say more, but it's now gotten so distracted that it's going to move on from this business, and so it will just abandon this corpse that it was possessing. So it just says good, and then it just slumps down and collapses. And the puppet it was commanding resumes being a corpse.
Wow, the Pacifix is so relatable.
Yeah. Very good.
The title of this episode is "The Pacifix is so relatable." Very excellent. Great. Let us make our way. This is totally fine. I invite no crosstalk or discussion of these events. There's nothing to discuss. Let's just do what we came here to do.
Yep.
Even Bidrohi doesn't say anything.
Yeah, what are you going to say, man? Don't worry about it.
He's thinking of things to say, and then he doesn't say them.
Good.
All right. How long does it take us to get there?
Yeah, so I think it's a fairly short trip from your smugglers then, but it's still like you won't have to spend a night outside of the cave. Probably what will happen is that you spend the night in the cave to wait for it not to be pitch black, because if the Deathlands are bad by half-light, they're definitely bad by midnight. And even if you can't see the sun, right, it casts a little bit of a gray light over the world. And so it's probably the case that you can get from your cave and back without having to spend the night in the desert, was my point. I said that in a really long-winded way. Which means half a day, right? Or less.
Yeah.
So how are you going about this? Are you just kind of openly riding in that direction, pretending to be the Giselchis on their camels, or?
No, we don't have to be pretending to be Giselchis. We're literally the party from the Lord Governor for Dwasha.
Yeah.
Because neither Darsha nor the Cholmondoleys know who's coming, do they?
No, they don't.
No.
So.
Also, we are literally this isn't even a lie.
Yeah.
Yes. It just speaks to our paranoia that even though we are not lying, we're really worried that they will somehow mistake us for something else.
Yeah. So I think you ride up and you will find the camp of these people, and they are at high elevation in one of the safe zones of the Deathlands. How the desert nomads survive out here in the desert is that they know very well which areas are safe and which ones are not. And so it's a relative term, of course, but yeah, they are up or elevated on a height. They have tents against the wind. They are not nearby any kind of oasis at the moment, so this is very likely just a temporary settlement. They can't stay here for long, just until supplies start to run low, but they know where to get water. And
I assume that it's not just the case that we ride into their camp, that they spot us from miles away and send outriders ahead, whom we have
exactly.
stated our business to.
They would do precisely that sort of thing. But I think the other thing that is notable is that they have picked this spot for a reason, right? If you're not near an oasis, you're making a camp somewhere else for some reason. And there is a rock formation behind them, which is just like a tall, weird, rising, almost like a spire. A rock formation that is not a tower or a straight spire, but some sort of column or pillar that rises up from the ground. It looks very jagged and probably quite easy to climb. And the two things you realize are, one, this probably has some sort of religious significance, and two, there are people on top of it. So they have people in high position as well, and these people have ranged weapons.
I ask our outrider, hey, does that thing have religious significance, and do you have people on top of it?
Wait, sorry, who are you asking this? Oh yeah, the person who approaches you. Yeah. Absolutely. So And the outrider is very heavily veiled and dressed in protective clothes and looks in surprise at Bidruhi and just says, "Yeah."
What's the significance? And Bidruhi's vibe is just like, we have met you. You're riding back to your camp. Let's chit chat.
Yeah.
What else are we going to do?
Very good. I think this is actually an action roll because there's stakes here, and like if you can get this person to first of all, I need a name for this person, which I haven't thought of, but we'll see. Maybe if your roll goes poorly, they just won't introduce themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure they introduce themselves with something that's clearly an unreal name.
Yeah.
But is it? What is the gender? Or at least, like, what is the apparent gender?
I think the apparent gender is of probably masculine here. Yeah.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah.
6.
Okay, 6. So yeah, I think this person.
I just assumed it was a fortune roll.
Yeah, no, actually, I was going to say there's risk here, but it doesn't matter. You rolled a 6, so you don't have to deal with the risk. The person turns. I guess they also have camels. The person turns the camel around, looks up, and says, "Yes, it is one of the places of she of the columns, of the high winds. It is a good place. You will be safe here. The lady is curious to hear what you have to say and hopes that you have brought bounty." And he like slightly speeds up his move and then actually introduces himself. And
but his name is not Bingley Bungley Boot.
No.
Okay. That's a shame, but okay.
Okay, well, I don't know where
that's
that came from.
That's a perfectly reasonable name for a person of the Cholmondoleys tribe to have.
Fair. But I think the interesting thing about his name actually is that he says, "I am stones that disappear on a windy day." And he has, just like Moss, a desert walker name, because of course he does.
Yes,
he's a guide.
Very good. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
We haven't heard much from Clem yet, and I'm curious about their reaction as we're going up to this, because this is like, none of us have really been in like a military war, right? And we're essentially approaching a fortress where people have perfect drops on us and so on, vantage points on us, like they can like outrange us with their rifles and so on. So I'm curious to know like how Clem's reacting to all of this.
Hates it. Just stiff in the saddle, because we had ghost hunting horses as well. I think they've gone for the horse. That's what they know to ride. Their hands are white knuckled around the reins. They've decided to take the they're bringing that up the back.
Are you also carrying one of the Giselles?
No, I'm not going to.
Interesting.
Yeah. So as you come close to the camp, I think it will become clear like two things. This is obviously not the entire people that are here. This is some sort of like detachment. They have sent people away for this diplomatic meeting of some sort, because you probably don't want all of your people here. Probably the majority of them are at some kind of oasis because it's just better, right? But this is a sacred site to them, and so they have these like demon chanting people here who are probably marked in some interesting way as you ride into the camp. I think it's easy to tell apart the warriors and the scouts and the demon channelers. So Clem, why don't you detail this? What marks a demon channeler of this tribe that Omid would have told you about?
I think there's this faraway look in their eyes. They aren't seeing physically. They see
right,
through.
So it's not like clothes or something. You just see it in their eyes. Yeah.
It's as if they're wearing a spirit mask without wearing a spirit mask.
Yeah, that's
they
very
see
cool.
Through the ghost field.
But I do also have a suggestion for something they could be wearing, if it's all right.
Yeah.
It's not clothing. They have those gigantic, like, big hooped earrings that you put inside your ears, and then your ears just kind of, your earlobes just go gigantic around them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's where, and the wind whistles through them.
Yeah. Very cool. So these people are sitting around, and it seems there are a lot of them present, sitting around in some sort of silent meditation. Most of them barely react to your approach. And then there are a few more outrider and warrior type, like stones disappear on a windy day, that guided you here. And I mean, there's no reason for you not to be taken straight to the lady. However, I think this is an interesting question that wouldn't be entirely up to your characters, but I will pose it to the group because possibly you could influence this. Are you going to go here negotiating as warriors, which is to say outside, still armed, on your horses, or are you going to disarm and speak inside the tent?
I think I'm in favor of disarming, I think, because for the time being.
Yeah. I think what is going to happen if you choose to do that is that, like, the negotiation situation will be less tense, but everyone kind of has to be on light load because you're leaving everything else on the horses.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
If we visibly disarm, is it the case that, like, they will also, like, kind of at least give us that courtesy? Obviously, we can't do anything if there's, like, knives buried under the chairs. But
oh yeah, no, this is the idea, right? If you step into the tent like visibly disarmed, then the lady's not going to bother to put on her own war gear and come outside and shit. She's just going to kind of be hanging out in there.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me. I think. Also, we have rigging, so
yeah, you can still hide weapons on you if you want. Very good.
Well, rigging doesn't let you hide things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For me, the rigging is that I could hide the sash underneath my shirt.
Yeah.
And then pull it out. So
I'm sure one of the benefits of the demanted sash is that it doesn't look like a weapon.
Yeah. Very good. So then you enter this tent. Probably just the four of you, leaving whoever you brought. Or are you bringing Omid into the tent as well? I don't think that makes any sense.
The problem is if we leave him out here, he's like, why have we brought a prisoner to this meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, come in. Like,
okay.
Shankarabharanam brought him all the way, might as well bring him into the tent.
Yeah, so he's just in the tent, and then probably not obviously a prisoner, just kind of a guy. Like, he's not going to try anything if he's unarmed, but...
This is definitely a bad idea. Like, I mean, this man should not be in this negotiation, but we're doing it. So,
he's been brought all the way up here, might as well go all the way, is the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, yeah, okay.
I wanted to leave him in the cave.
I also thought we should not bring him. I thought we were going to send him back to his Waka. Fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, now he's with you.
Just leave him with Gurban. He'd talk his way out of it somehow.
Great.
It's all right.
He's whining like that.
It's okay.
And now he definitely won't talk you into trouble. So
if Omid starts talking shit, Shankarabharanam can just start making out with him. That's the plan.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
I think he was not lying about Lady Jabal being smoking hot, and I think she is smoking hot in the naturally, like, incredibly athletic way of someone who lives a life on the move.
Yeah.
So, you know, she's quite tall. She's muscular.
And she's ripped. Yeah. Absolutely.
She's ripped. She has like these very like handsome, beautiful facial features. And I think coming inside the tent too, you can see some of her muscles because she's like sleeveless and sitting down. The other thing that is notable is that she is wearing makeup, which she probably does not usually do. Whether that's for the negotiation or for some other reason, but it stands out. She has like decorated her face and probably her like arms and hands too.
It makes sense. They must have spyglasses. They saw that there's a really hot guy approaching.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yes.
So Bidre is just nodding in the way that you nod when you see a beautiful sunset. And I imagine, and I'm really interested to see the look on Clem's face as well.
Yeah, sorry. I do want to clarify. Do you nod when you see a beautiful sunset?
It's like,
You
Sure, why
don't?
not?
Interesting. Okay.
You don't nod to go, yes, the beauty of nature, to acknowledge the great planet that we live on.
Like a little stoic nod, you know?
I see. Yeah, okay. I'm learning so much. Yeah,
I think I'm more of a, eyes wide, mesmerized kind of guy when I see the beauty of nature rather than, oh yes, the brushstrokes here are quite intricate.
Yeah, I normally just say, hello there, old fellow, and then move on.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Anyway,
Mhm.
you come into the tent, and she says, rather bluntly, I think she looks you over, and she says, I am Lady Jabal of the Cholmondoleys. You bring heavy laden camels. What is it? Is it good? The tribute?
I am Saida An Khatam, once of the village of Khatam and lately of Udwasha. With me, I bring the other members of the Rising Moon Sword School. And then I'll introduce everyone. So I will say
Mushfik salutes.
Yeah.
Bidrohi An Khatam, Mushfiq An Khatam, Clementine of the Golden Eyes, and Omid, whom I don't know. What am I supposed to say about him?
Yeah.
Right.
Omid looks over, does the little reverse up nod, and just says, "What's up?"
Yeah, great. Yeah, he's already undermining me. And I will say, we've brought an offer, and we have brought friendship. And now might be a good idea for us to also have said we're bringing wine or something. Maybe can we flashback to trying to buy some wine off of
absolutely.
Advanced Thugs?
I think I think it's logical. We don't have to make it a thing. You can have some stuff to bring her. However, just for funsies, I realized let's not make lifestyle irrelevant. Someone here roll lifestyle to see how good wine you could procure. You don't have to spend actual stash for it, but this feels like
I currently have decent lifestyle.
Okay.
Very good.
I have no lifestyle. I'm very poor. I spend everything on
then I guess spear. Then I guess Bidrohi will pour her the wine.
Yes. Very good.
So out of character. So we've been workshopping an ability, Prince and I. Now I'm speaking to the audience. We've been workshopping an ability, Prince and I, where Bidrohi kind of gets benefits of lifestyle, but doesn't keep the coin for himself, because I'm interested in positioning himself towards someone who, gives all his money to the community. Again, I'm drawing from Lawrence of Arabia, and where I forget which character, but the Sheikh says that he is poor because he has a river to his people. So kind of drawing from that. And since we're on that, thinking about Lawrence of Arabia, I wonder if there's any sort of angle here. And now I'm speaking to Prince. If there's any sort of angle here for Bidrohi to be inspired to essentially take that ability, or kind of be someone who is rich not because of his personal wealth, but because of how much is given to the community from this woman.
Okay,
I don't know, just flagging that because I'm thinking of Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah, I think absolutely that is possible. I think, it makes sense. She's not that much more ostentatiously dressed than any of her people. She probably shares the wealth quite widely with people who need it.
Okay.
So yeah, you could be inspired by her, although she is still in many ways not a great example, because I will point out she and her tribe are occasionally scary people.
Yeah, I mean, sorry.
That desert pirates.
Yeah.
Okay, and the context of that Sheik is that his people, they were desert raiders, but all the money that he got, he gave back to his people.
Yeah,
that was the
absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, but lifestyle is 2, so maybe this I can actually lead into that, if I may suggest it. We have nice wine, but now we didn't bring enough for everyone.
Yeah, makes sense. So I think she gestures actually, and she says, "Save that for my riders. They're more tired." And I guess she invites the riders in. I don't want to slow the scene down too much, but just to lean into that inspiration, she invites the riders in who are tired and thirsty, and they get to drink the wine, and she just doesn't.
And neither do we.
Yeah.
But I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to serve them all myself, actually.
Yeah.
Very
and
do they have cups, or are they cupping their hands?
I think they're cupping their hands. Yeah, they probably have cups, but they don't bring them out for now. Because like they're packed somewhere and it would be very time consuming, and this is how you drink in the field.
Yeah, also it's much more ritualistic and also more intimate to be pouring your wine into someone's hands.
Yeah. So she oversees this, and she sits like quite calmly and patiently and waits for the ceremony to be over, and she says, "Good, the last offer was an insult. We do not run the Empire's errands."
Yes, I am given to understand that the bearer of the last offer remains here with you.
Yes.
One of the responsibilities I have been given is to ensure his safe passage back. And I suspect that it will not be cheap.
No, it will not.
Very well.
I had thought to give him to the desert wind for good fortune. We do not abide by being insulted. The last offer was an offer of serfdom. I am willing, perhaps, for an alliance with your empire, but we will not be beneath it. And she obviously thinks that you are here representing the Lord Governor and the Akarosi, who she knows almost nothing about. So
So I think I will say it is the way of the Empire to demand that to which it has no right. Indeed, though we are here to do its bidding, we too are not interested in being its serfs.
Good, she says, and she smiles. Then perhaps they've sent some more reasonable people my way. I don't know much about your people, about your name, but if you do not tolerate serfdom by the Empire either, perhaps we could be allies instead.
And I think Saida is totally fine with this. I think what Saida's going to do actually is they will say...
Can we get into a group huddle?
Indeed. I will say, if it is acceptable to you, I believe we are connected in one other way, but it would require the introduction of some chaos into your tent.
She eyes you skeptically, and I think, you will have to persuade her again here.
Yeah, that's fine. What I will do is I unwrap my sash. And I guess this is the risk to this action roll also, is that like I'm revealing that it's a weapon now.
Yeah.
I'm just going to mark the sash as lowered. So we have... Oh, no, this is free, so that's fine. But yeah, I'm on that. And I will say, Samum, the wind of the desert, is known to me, is dear to me. And I understand if you do not believe this, so I would, with your permission, summon him, that he might himself present this truth to you.
Okay, so it seems to me we can spin this two ways. Either this can be an attune to show off your... you can suggest other ways, because that's always how it goes in Blade. You can always suggest actions. But to me, it sounds like it's either some sort of sway or consort to persuade her, or it's a straight-up attune to show off your magical prowess.
Yeah, I think I want it to be... I think it should be a consort, because it's consort with connections with your friends or rivals. And Samu is one of my friends or rivals. I don't know which one he is, but at least he's one of them, right?
Yes.
So I think consort here should at least give me either better effect or like a different kind of like fictional positioning.
Absolutely.
Right?
So I'll call it a consort is a risky standard here, I think.
Yeah.
Like there is some risk involved, but you can also get what you want, which is, I guess, respect in her eyes as someone who...
Yeah, that's what I really want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I think that speaking out of character, it might be interesting if there is some dual or some like ritual violence here to establish our like our position, because I know that like the last half of this score was just absolute carnage, but as Zoheb has been saying, we are brothers, so it might be like interesting to like see that. But I'm just like pointing that out.
Absolutely, that can be an outcome of a success here. Then you introduce some chaos and you introduce this possibility. Yeah,
I would love to duel someone, either the hot lady or Dirta.
Yeah,
and we'll find out why and what this will do for us after the duel.
Yes.
So in this case, I'm definitely speaking Samu's name for my own purposes, so I will get 1 die from that, and I'm pushing myself for a die.
Okay.
So it's
consort risky standard.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and standard will mean respect in her eyes. In fact, we'll start a clock. I think this is what makes sense.
That might, yes. That makes sense.
So I will call it a let's call it a 6 clock, not to make it too long. But I don't think it's a 4 clock. Just called like befriending the Cholmondoleys.
Yeah, this is like ideally a +1 faction status with them. Right?
Yeah.
Like plus into plus.
I also think it's a good opportunity for someone to assist, but you have already rolled.
Sorry, I already rolled.
Okay, that is a 6.
It is a 6. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so she is impressed, and she says, as you draw out the sash and she sees the wind playing, you have not like captured Samum again.
Yeah,
He's still,
I
like,
have
out
not
and
captured
about.
Samum back. So I think like one of the reasons that I also did this is that she's somehow related to the desert wind, so maybe Samum is around anyway.
Yeah,
right.
I think a wind sweeps in, and it sweeps into the tent, and Samum is like present but in the ghost field, so imperceptible but here. And she notices like the sash commands the dust devils. She nods, and she looks at you with some approval, and I think her eyes now fall on Clem, having gotten this respect from Saida, and she looks you over, right, and then her eyes fall to Clem, who is the person who is the most dressed like the Silver Nails, because you have Severosi gear and so forth. And she says, "The man, the last emissary, is he your kinsman?
No.
Do you care for him?"
Difficult question.
Would you care for a tribe?
This card does want him back, right?
Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah.
Yeah, but she's asking about Clem here. Sorry, Clem, go on.
Yeah. I think Clem looks up and goes, "Would you care for a man of a people who sold yours out to the Empire?"
No. Then why do you want him back? If we give him to the wind, we will have fortune in battle.
Unfortunately, he has political sway. I would happily see him staked out, but his crimes are not that of his kin.
Well, he is staked out. We have him tied up atop the column.
Do it like we do.
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, I think Clem France goes, you do it like we did from Severos.
How so? She asks, and she looks at you with interest, and I think you're in a position to continue working on this clock, actually, bonding over practices. But what do you explain to her?
I think that the Severosi death rites are sky burial.
Ah, yes. So, yeah,
what?
they're kind of sky burying him before he's
sky burial.
He's dead in this case. But, like, he's alive, but...
he will soon be dead.
Yeah. Very good. I think if you want, you can make this an action roll to attempt to consort with her and progress this clock or something else.
I just wanted to mention, Salty, that it might be interesting if fighting, like doing a ritual combat so that we can officially take possession of him from them might be an interesting thing for you to also be like, that's what we do in Severus, right? So like, it's not part of the negotiation. Like, this is a separate thing that you and I are like negotiating.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting angle then. I think then to bring it round that way, I would, in Severus, we would fight for the honour of staking somebody out for the birds.
Yeah. She nods, I guess, and we can see how this goes. So I think it's still risky standard, but your standard effect is now 2 ticks on this, and also, opening this up as a possible angle too. So it works on befriending the Cholmondoleys, and it also gives you an opportunity for ritual combat to get Darta back.
Yeah.
Would you like help?
Yeah, that would be nice. I'm going to. This makes sense for traumatic flashbacks as well.
Oh yes,
yeah.
Seems pretty fucking
traumatic flashbacks
traumatic.
to ritual combats. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what would a devil's bargain here be?
Oh, interesting.
I have one in my mind.
Okay, go ahead.
If you do this, you are committing to skyburying him. If not now, then at some point.
No, I don't think that makes sense, because it's just likely not going to come up. If you save him, he's going to be safe and sound in Uduasha for who knows how long. It's one of those, it might be a devil's bargain that would come to haunt Clem 10 years from now, but that's not going to show up in the campaign, so no.
Yeah, okay.
However, I have an obvious devil's bargain just to raise the stakes of this. If you want to take it, I guess it is true for these people that the ritual combat would be held on top of the column, which greatly increases the stakes because it's very high up on uneven terrain.
If you fall off, oh man. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it just feels like I want to see Bidrohi do a fight on top of like a very narrow column.
Yeah.
Okay. May I suggest that?
Bidrohi or Clem. I don't know who's going to do this combat, but yeah, that's my devil's bargain.
May I suggest that this isn't a devil's bargain, because this is literally what I thought was going to happen anyway. So what I would suggest is a devil's bargain.
Okay.
Instead, and if we just say that that's part of the story anyway, is that a ritual combat must happen either way. Like, Clem is committing to one either way, whether or not it's for Darta, to rescue Darta or not. But now Clem is going to have to fight someone.
We'll roll this into 2, I think. So a ritual combat atop the column has to happen, but you can get a bonus die.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Sure, why not? And I'm also going to push myself for effect and then trade to make this desperate extreme.
Okay, desperate extreme. All right, interesting.
Because I can.
Then I think.
Yeah. You know what? What are you rolling?
Consort.
I would like to make this a group action.
All right.
If I may.
I'm assisting Clem, so I'm not going to join the. But I like the way that I'm assisting here. I guess is fairly straightforwardly. I'm permitting him to speak for me, right? So for everyone else, it's oh, I'm in charge, but Clem speaks with my authority.
Okay, so how is Bidrohi participating in this group action? Let's start there, and then let's go back to Clem and untangle how this is desperate extreme.
Yeah, very simply. Bidrohi, after he's done pouring wine, this takes a while, right? He says, and when we are saying ritual combat, it doesn't have to be one versus one. We are a people, you are a people.
Oh, 2 versus 2.
Nice.
Okay.
Or more.
Yeah. Very good. All right. Cool. Bidrohi is participating. Clem, how are you making this desperate extreme? I can sort of see the angle, but I feel like you have to step up your game to say something provocative to make it desperate, right?
Well, I guess the desperate extreme is that there's going to be a lot of people on top of that thing now. At least 4 people.
That's possible.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you want to go with that?
But it's even more desperate than that. So I've made a knife, right? I've snuck this knife in.
And you're drawing
and I slip it.
Yeah.
I slip it from underneath my bandeau and offer it to the lady.
Okay, as a gift. Very cool. All right, so if this succeeds, you will just have instantly befriended this warring people outside the city. And yeah, I am not sure precisely what the desperate consequence will be, but I guess we'll see.
Find out.
I have ideas for that.
Handicap.
I have ideas. Yes, exactly.
Handicap is probably the way to go, I agree.
Having to fight with a little knife.
Oh man, yes, that would be it. Yeah.
Yep.
I got a 4.
Okay. I'm just figuring this out.
You have one bonus.
So I've got 2 bonus die. Yeah, 2 bonus die. Okay.
We believe in you, Clem.
But it is.
It's a 6.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
so the
a
desperate
nice
consequence.
palindrome.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 4, 4, 6, 4, 4. Okay, so the desperate consequence does not come to pass, which means there is no handicap, because that's where I was going to go as well. Having to fight with like a little knife and other stuff. Also, possibly them invoking their like wind abilities, because for them fighting in heavy winds is not a problem, but it would be for you. But I guess they're not going to summon a wind demon to fuck with you during the thing, because there's no desperate consequence. So this clock finishes. She looks at you, and I guess she says, "This is acceptable. Then we will reject the friendship with the Empire and with your kinsman. We are happy to strike it with you."
And I think what I wanna, I will just slip in here. I don't want this to like get caught up in the momentum, but like in order to fulfill my deal with Ixis, I want to just like slip that in and be like, we come also representing the demon house of Ixis. Yeah, and you know,
I think this was an extreme success. So the way to make this make sense, I think part of the extreme here is accomplishing this as well, because technically you got one tick more than you needed. And I think the way to make sense of this is that she looks at you and just kind of accepts this as like, yeah, of course, in the city, everyone serves a demon prince. It's kind of wimpy, it's kind of lame, but that's just how it works. So, okay, that's yours. I don't give a shit, but fine.
Okay,
you know. So she sort of acknowledges that an alliance with you is an alliance with Ixis because you are their pawns. That's fine. No one gets away from the demon houses in the city. And
okay, good. And it doesn't decrease her respect for us. Which is
it kind of neither decreases nor increases it, I think, because she thinks it's kind of lame, but she also accepts that this is just the way of city folks.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway,
okay.
Where were we?
Yeah, very good. She rises up and she says, "Very well, you may fight us for him, and once that is done, we will discuss friendship." And I think this is a good place to take a break.
Yes.
Right.
Here close the doors to the House of Endings. Those who dwell within are Zoheb, called Klow, Aadiyat, called Soap, Symmetry, called Tree, and Salty. I have been Prince, your host. Our city of Uduasha is based on Blades in the Dark by John Harper and Evil Hat Productions, with special thanks to Johnstone Metzger. Follow us on Twitter or support us on kofi.com/desperateattune. If you want to engage further with us, we also have a Patreon at patreon.com/desperateattune, where you will get our newsletter, extra content, and updates from Uduasha.
On the next episode of Desperate Attune.
Yeah, that is the setup. Saida versus a woman with an incense burner. Vidruhi versus a cool dancer with 2 swords. Clem versus the Lady Jabal. And Mushfik versus one of the Desert Outriders. I have also given Omid's foe a name just to keep it in my notes, but it's Boring Bob. So
Boring Bob.
I just needed a placeholder, okay, in case I need to refer to this person.